Well, I had a miss on this set. You can see there the trap is, let's see, snapped, cleanly snapped. But as we drove up, I saw the culprit run off. And I didn't stand a chance with his big old foot. Anyhow, I was concerned that they were eating my grass, but that doesn't seem to be the case. I think they were just trying to get at whatever was in the pipe, which I'd put some bobcat gland, I think, in the pipe. But anyway, I'll have to redo that one. And this trapping with the cows looks like it's going to be a good challenge. Alright, finally got on the board this morning. I've checked 6 coyote traps so far, nothing. One of my 280s, but I set this there's a good bit of otter sign kind of up and down this pond bank. You can see I got a dog-proof trap there, and then I set this dog-proof trap here right on the edge of the pond to try to whittle through some of these coons, so hopefully I wouldn't quite catch as many. They wouldn't get in my otter sets when I put some otter sets in. So anyway, on the board, got some more good traps to check, so hopefully we'll put some more animals in the truck. I was just going to point out there where I caught that coon. I caught him in a Duke dog-proof trap. I'm trying out some different dog-proof traps to see what kind of reaction, what kind of catch I get. But that was actually in a Duke dog-proof trap that I converted to a round trigger with a push-pull trigger. This is a Southern Valley trap trigger system that I put on there. I had some caramel and then marshmallows as bait, so worked pretty good. I'm pretty happy so far with those trigger conversions, and I think those round triggers are going to be a big plus on dog proofs. Whatever I'm using as attractant here is definitely an attractant now. I'm not out here trapping cows, so I don't know how plus that is, but I got 2 sets here and the cows are really hung up on it. So like I said, they're steady smelling that T-bone, which is kind of interesting. But anyway, shoot, I think I got coyote gland lure on that T-bone, so that's kind of interesting. But anyhow, it's going to be a challenge keeping the cows out and trying to get other stuff in. And that's what I was afraid of. Them rascals up here eating all my grass clippings. So, and also licking. I had a bunch of dirt piled up here. For whatever reason, they seem to be licking the dirt. Anyway, looks like I'm gonna have to shift back to my traditional dirt coverings for some of these sets. But that's what it's all about: learning and improving as a trapper and adapting to your surroundings and not catching non-target animals like beef cows. Shaping up to be a coon kind of day. I've only got 2 more predator traps to check, but checking my traps down here on the pond dam. Like I say, I set this up for otters, but with that salmon oil and all, I knew it'd be just as good of a chance of catching a coon too. So I had a dog proof on that end with no luck, and then a beaver trap. Like I say, I got 2 more coyote traps to check, and then 4 more beaver traps on the upper end of the pond. So we'll see what we got. Well, I got my last couple traps to check here. This is the spot where I had the trap flung snapped yesterday, and here again I got the trap snapped today. Really struggling getting the kinks worked out, I reckon. Got to get warmed up for trapping season, but not a bad day. 2 coons, but I figure being Sunday and tomorrow, I have to go back to work and all, and that's when I'll catch a pile of fur when I don't really have the time to. I have to skin it in the dark and reset traps and check traps in the dark. And that's how it goes. I still don't know what's going on here. Try moving the trap back a little bit, putting some poke sticks at the top to see if I can get whatever it is to actually get caught. Water's real muddy. I reset the trap. You see it there kind of in the center. And I put me a couple of sharp sticks pointed up about 6 or 8 inches out from the trap. The trap is in probably 7 or 8 inches of water, so it should be plenty deep. Whatever's coming up is walking what it could be happening is whatever's going up is going over my trap, and then when it comes down, he's sliding down, hits the trap as he's coming down, and fires it. I look at the trap when I pull it out, because a lot of times you can see any fur or hair or anything in the trap if you get a like a belly catch, or they bump it with their belly as they're coming in and going out. So haven't seen that, but obviously something's not right here, so we'll see. We'll get this beaver sooner or later. So we did have some success on the trap line today. Not the skin and shed critters I was hoping to be skinning today, but a pair of coons, I'll definitely take it. And that kind of just, it goes to show you, or it points out, reminds me, you shouldn't expect to catch something every day, depending on the type of trap line you're running. You know, if you're running a muskrat trap line, or even a raccoon trap line, you know, with a good number of traps out, you do have odds of catching animals every day, because there's a lot denser populations, a lot higher populations usually in areas where you're trapping, and there's more animals, and they have a smaller territory that they move around in. So, but like I say, when you're dealing with coyotes, otters, things like that, it could take several days. So, the more traps that you have out, that's definitely ups your odds if you're covering more ground. If you've got 10 traps on 200 acres and you jump it up to 20 traps on 200 acres, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to catch any more animals. But you know, if getting 10 more traps out on an additional 500 acres, you're covering more ground, so that just ups your odds of catching. But going 2 days, the first check day and the second check day with minimal catches is not unusual. Like I said, you know, usually a lot of times it takes a couple days before I'll start picking up my coyotes, and I tend to have good luck after a rain as well. A lot of people tend to want to relure or mess with their traps after a rain, but I tend to have pretty good luck after a rain. I feel like it kind of dampens the scent, both mine and the lure or bait, enough that where an animal's not quite as a coyote may not quite be as wary in a place where he's run by that particular rock or tree stump hundreds of times, and then all of a sudden he runs by and it smells like a skunk died up in there last night, versus if it smells just a faint hint of skunk. Anyway, that's just some of my ramblings and my 2 cents. Did get 2 raccoons today, so 2 nice, not super huge coons, a pair of females. But one thing about them is they're, especially, this is the one that I caught in the drowner set. That's why it's nice and clean. The other one was one that I caught in the dog proof, was all muddy, and it's already skinned her. But one of the things that I'm going to tinker with and ask if anybody has any suggestions on is recipes for coon meat. So, or any recipes for trapline game in general. That's typically raccoons or whatever you may catch on the trap line is not necessarily considered table fare or civilized people table fare, or whatever you have, whatever you want to call it. But it's definitely something that our ancestors probably, I can promise you my grandma's family during the Depression wouldn't have turned down or wouldn't have thrown out a carcass of a coon that they caught. They would have eaten that because they didn't have anything else. So with these coons, these little young smaller females, but that should be a real good eating size. So I'm going to try to pull off some of the meat and do something with them. This past trapping season, we had our family Christmas get together, and I took bobcat backstrap Philly cheese rolls. I don't know if you've ever looked at bobcat meat. It's intrigued me for years because it's just real white. It looks like pork or something. But I took that back strap, sliced it real thin, and pan fried it, and then put it in some croissant rolls with some onions and cheese, and just did like a little Philly cheese roll. And some of my family was a little bit skeptical, but the ones that tried it, including myself, were pretty darn impressed. It was very mild. You would have never known that it was bobcat meat. And there's a lot of interest in eating, wild game, organic, in general. Everything that you catch on the trap line, except for maybe some coons or something like that that's raiding a farmer's grain bin, is organic. It's a resource that we ought to be utilizing. So anyway, just going to walk you through. I'm going to go try to get out a few more sets this afternoon. And then I'll try to get this video up, and we'll see what we got tomorrow. Like I said, time is on our side. I've got good sets out. I've got good confidence in my sets and in the location. So it's just a matter of time before we start picking up those coyotes and otters and everything else. So hope you're enjoying it, and we'll see you tomorrow. I know y'all are probably thinking this is otter trapping school instead of coyote trapping school, but I got 4 more coyote sets out. Now I'm getting a couple more otter sets out. I'm setting up this this pond, and there's nothing really to keep the cows out from anywhere, but there's a couple of these old trees, and there's a massive otter toilet right up here. So I've taken and kind of hacked, it's bright and bad light, but I kind of hacked a couple of avenues where I've got some conibears guarding the entrance, and put some salmon oil, some crawfish bait, and a little otter lure, gland lure in there to try to keep everything out, but draw the otters in when they come through. Like I say, it's just a waiting game, but this is check day 2. We had 2 coons. Not as great as I would have hoped. Missed another beaver, but like I say, time's on our side, and it's just going to get better from here. So got more sets out. I think 7 more sets out, so we'll see what tomorrow brings. Got my chief water officer here, making sure everything stays good and muddy and dirty. You're doing a good job, buddy. All right. See y'all tomorrow.